Hey everybody, this is Bill Combs
and Jeff Newton
with Flashbang Creative. One thing we want to talk to you guys about today is getting stood up. Have any of you ever had a course where, for example, you had 15 students register and only 11 showed? Well, that was money that you lost, and we have come up with a solution to eliminate that. And that's basically what we're going to cover today in this podcast. So buckle up and let's figure out how to eliminate this problem for your business.
Yeah, I mean, one of the issues, or where the issue became apparent, was as we began working with the many instructors that we've done business with. You know, one of the common problems that surfaced in those unique conversations with all of them was the challenge of either collecting the funds up front or, you know, taking the time from their busy Saturdays to, you know, hold the course. Because let's face it, most of the instructors that we do work with, this is a part-time thing for them. It's their passion, it's their hobby, but they've evolved it into their business. And so that usually means that on the day where there's courses, they're sacrificing other elements of their life, be it time with their family or, you know, time with kids or just their own personal time to dedicate to the course. And there's nothing more frustrating than going through the process of getting everything organized, getting out to the classroom, and you think you're going to have 8 students, 10 students, 15 students because they've all committed, but you show up and 4 of them are there. That means the other ones took that money directly out of your pocket. So what we're going to talk about is what we decided to do to solve that problem for the instructors we work with and how we can solve it for you too.
Well, before we get down into the meat and potatoes, let's just talk dollars. I think dollars resonate with everybody, especially small business owners. So kind of on a national average, what we've come up with is the average class is roughly $90. And I know in some areas they're around $50, but that would be for concealed carry. But we're talking general course is around $90. And it's not uncommon for people to have 3 no-shows. So 90 times 3, that's $270. So $270 is a lot to absorb when you're talking your Saturday, your free time. And so it was kind of a 911 emergency that people brought to us. Or I should say, let me back that up. It was an emergency that we identified on our own end before we even started outsourcing our services and generated a product for you guys. We got tired of getting stood up. One time we had a class where we had 20 individuals and 3 were no-shows. That's a lot of money, and nobody should have to deal with that. So what we need to do is we need to create a product. So our website, or your website, would include each course would become its own product. You want to go into a little bit more, Jeff?
Yes. The basic concept is that you don't show up on the day of the class and you've got empty seats that didn't have dollars committed. So it all comes back down to the basic human psychology component of it is, if I, as a student, don't put my money where my mouth is or don't commit the dollars towards the class, then it's really easy to wake up Saturday morning hungover and decide that, shit, I'm not going to the range today, or I'm not going to go take that class. But where there is a level of commitment, if they've paid up front beforehand, then you can bet that they're going to get their ass out of bed and show up for the course. So the way that we've designed it is every one of your course offerings you have listed out there on your training calendar, and you don't get to come to the class without the registration. It's all super easy online direct transaction where they pay up front with a credit card, PayPal, any of those services. And before they show up to the class, you know exactly how many people are enrolled, and they've all ponied up the cash. They've put their money where their mouth is. They're hard commits.
Yeah, and also to add to that, sorry, I'm dealing with a little bit of allergies here, but to add to that, it's one thing to have a product, right? To have a course and a checkout feature. It's another thing to have the whole transaction, or the whole, what they call the customer experience. That's sort of the industry term. Have that process be fluid, easy, fast, and efficient. You want your customers to get in and get out fast so that you don't have a bounce rate. You don't want people to walk away. The faster you can get their dollars into your pocket, the better. So we've created that solution. So not only are we now selling a product on our website and having people opt in, having to basically put their money where their mouth is, like Jeff said, but we've also created a whole checkout process that's fast and efficient.
The second largest pain point that many of the instructors we work with really shared with us at first was, look, I've got a list of 10 questions or 10 pieces of information that I need to have, that I need to get from every registrant or every student in my class. And that ranges anywhere from first name, last name, address, driver's license number, any of those details specific to your state or your requirements. And so what we did was we found a way to customize a registration form, again, for every class. So your CCW class may ask for specific information that your other classes don't, your defensive carbine or any of those other courses that you offer. And maybe you only do one, and that's fine. But think to yourself, what questions, what pieces of information do I have to collect from every student, period? And think of it in a way that that you can save time if you transferred that burden, so to speak, to the student to provide that information for you up front through a registration form. And if they're doing it at the exact same time as they're paying for your course, they aren't going to think of it as, being sneaky or backhanded or any of that other stuff. They already trust you and they're going through the process. It's normal. It's a normal component of a transaction online, but you collect it all up front. That way when course day comes, you just print out the report of the students that were registered. And not only do you have the class roster, but you have all of the other information that you have to turn around and report off to, be it the NRA or the state websites, whatever your state's registration process is, you have all that information right in front of you.
Yeah, so basically, and we're going to talk about this more in some later podcasts, but this is another part of using technology as a force multiplier. So if you can automate something where you automatically, that student is basically doing the data entry for you. And not only that, but we can take this one step further. And now you have their information, so you'll be able to drip feed them some more content at a later date. Basically use this information that you've generated as a marketing tool.
Yeah, and the best part is you can tailor the communication that you do send them based off of the context in which they came to you, right? So if they were a CCW student, maybe you have access to selling equipment or gear, or you want to make recommendations, or maybe you upsell them to a month or two down the road, maybe it's longer, taking them to a basic home defense, right? So inside the home and or outside the home, because you already know that they were interested in CCW, but that doesn't necessarily mean, nor do you want their training and their expertise and their conditioning to end with the congratulations, you can now walk the street with a gun. That really goes back to one of the main reasons why both Bill and I got into instructing, period, was to reinforce the safety and security of firearm ownership. So being able to retarget those leads based on the context around why they came to you to begin with doesn't make that information that you send them down the road annoying or frustrating, because it's not like spam. It's inside the realm of what they're already paying attention to.
Yeah, exactly. And let's go back to the dollars. All right. So we're talking about recapturing your time, right? So time is money, and this whole system is all about capitalizing on your time. And so if we break this down as from that $90 a course average, a national average, that equates to roughly 16 no-shows. 16 no-shows over the course of 1 year pays for our services that we provide for that entire year. That's pretty impressive. Now, to put that into perspective, that's, we're talking $120 a month here, but $120 a month, that doesn't scare people away from having a smartphone or DirecTV. Those are investments that you're paying for monthly that aren't putting any money back in your pocket. This will put money back in your pocket, guys, because you're going to be capturing those dollars and capturing those leads and intelligently using this information to further market to them down the road.
Yeah, I mean, the other piece, if I just think back to the reality for us when we were actively instructing more regularly, there was nothing worse than that feeling of coming home from that Saturday where you were all jacked, you're all pumped, you had a full class, you were ready to go, ready to get in front of people and do what you love to do, only to walk home kind of with your head hung a little bit when you walk through the door and your wife turns and asks you how everything went. And the piece that's burnt in your mind is, well, everything was great for the 7 people that were there, but not for the 13 slots that were supposed to have been there, which really just, makes it stressful, makes it frustrating. And again, it's all straight. Not only did you take that time away from your family or out of your life, but then you can actually quantify the dollars too. It really robs you of the joy of doing what you love to do. So anything we could do to remove that was definitely the motivation behind the design.
Well, it's all about knowing your operating costs. And if you don't know what you're going to net for the day, you don't know what your costs are. You don't know for example, some people have to rent range time. If you're paying for that up front, that's a lot to front load. If you're actually reserving a private range, which we have instructors in our some of our accounts, I should say. These instructors, they have to rent range time for them, a block of time. So that's money out of their pocket that they're hedging their bet that they're going to get these students to show up.
Yeah, kind of going back into the design of this whole thing, really the framework that we used as we looked and approached it was just a saying that I had picked up earlier on in my business life, in my real life. And that was really that you have to control the process in order to control the outcome. And really what I mean by that in how we designed this was we already know. So what are your known knowns? Well, I know that I need to collect this information and that information from every student. And I know that I have to turn around and report this information and that information to this agency within this time frame. And I know that it's going to take me 4 hours to do it for every course that I have without a piece of technology that'll do most of it for me. And so it makes it really easy to reverse engineer the process and say, what do I need in the end? Begin with the end in mind. What do you need in the end? And we just stair step that into the process so that all the way from course registration to you wrapping up the course when you're closing, all of the information is right there in one place for you. You just turn around, have it all there, send it off in one email or enter it through the system, and saves you 3, 4, 5 hours of admin time per class. I know I can speak for myself, at least when it comes to doing all of the things on the firearm business side. In the beginning, it was all a side gig. So anytime, any moment that I spent on the firearms business was all time that I was robbing from some other area in life. So being able to shortcut that was a huge benefit for us.
Yeah, and to kind of circle back on how this data is collected, all of this will be in one system, right? So when a student registers for a course, they're now a contact that's within your contact lists on your website. So later on down the line, when you want to market to these individuals and say, hey, take this the next level course, whatever that may be, handgun 2 or tactical carbine or something like that, it's simple. All those contacts are already loaded into a system for you. There's no crossing over into another system via your Google email account or Yahoo or anything like that. It's all in one system. So it's, again, seamless. It saves you time. Time is money.
Yeah, maybe more importantly, saves you frustration.
Right.
Having to copy and paste from here to there, any of that.
It's all admin work. And as a small business owner, most businesses, that's where they lose money, is spinning their wheels on the admin side. So if you can automate that and make it more user-friendly on your end, then that empowers you. That is a force multiplier, and that is the type of tools that we at Flashbang Creative are committed to bringing to the table. I think that's about all we have to add on this podcast as far as...
I feel like we could spend all day really kind of giving example after example that we've seen with the instructors we've worked with on where this has cut corners for them or saved them time, but
and increased profits. I mean, we've had constant communication and testimonials of how this has driven profit margins up. It weeds out the individuals who are going to back out, and then you only have your prospects in the hopper that are committed.
Yeah, maybe that's the final thought we leave with you is, I remember one of the instructors we worked with early on, their words were, as they implemented the new system, they actually felt like the service that they delivered had increased as a result of everyone that was there showed up in the classroom was being served or was serviced. So before, when they had the no-shows, he was having to turn away a handful of students each time because he had a limited number of spots. But, he would be turning people away for the upcoming Saturday event. And then he'd show up on Saturday and he'd have 2, 3, 4 slots empty. But once he was able to switch over to the model where students committed financially to the class, then every seat was filled. And in the instance where where there happens to be a no-show, but they've already paid, then you can move them into, a slot in another class or handle it however you want to structure your policy. But nonetheless, you still got paid. You still had those dollars. So that was really probably the final piece that I had that we've seen.
Yeah, I think so. With that, I think we'll let you guys go. Thanks for tuning in, and hope you come back again.
Yeah, thanks, guys.